The movie begins with Yeongnam exercising alone at a public park. He passionately trains using only his body weight, showing that despite his unemployed life, he still maintains incredible physical ability. Not long after, several kids arrive to play at the park. One of them is his nephew, Jiho, the son of Yeongnam's older sister, Younghyun. Yeongnam happily calls out to Jiho and even buys drinks for the children. But Jiho feels embarrassed by his unemployed uncle and quickly tells his friends to leave. Later, Yeongnam receives another message informing him that his job application has been rejected once again. At home, while Yeongnam washes dishes, his parents relax in front of the television. Soon, his sister Younghyun arrives to ask for some homemade kimchi from their mother because it's Jiho's favorite food. She then enters Yeongnam's room to make sure everything is ready for their mother's 70th birthday celebration. But instead of helping, Younghyun constantly mocks Yeongnam for still being unemployed at his age. When she opens a nearby closet, she becomes furious after discovering he still keeps all of his old rock climbing gear. Yeongnam finally loses his patience and kicks her out of the room. This reminds him of his college days when he used to actively participate in a climbing club. Back then, Yeongnam had a crush on a beautiful girl named Uiju. During one climbing session, Uiju skillfully reaches the top first. Yeongnam tries to impress her, but his grip slips and he falls. Soon, the family birthday event begins, and all the relatives gather together at a large banquet hall. Unfortunately, Yeongnam gets looked down on there as well. Even his relatives quietly judge him for having no career. After the family photo session, the event host, Manager Go, starts entertaining the guests. To Yeongnam's surprise, Uiju turns out to work at the banquet hall as the assistant manager. Outside, Yeongnam congratulates her on her successful career. Not wanting to appear pathetic, he lies and claims that he works as a manager at a prestigious company. The conversation becomes awkward because 4 years earlier, Yeongnam had confessed his feelings to Uiju, only to be rejected. The rejection deeply hurt him, and he clearly still hasn't moved on. Back inside, the family continues singing karaoke and partying long into the night. Uiju eventually tells her coworkers that Yeongnam's family probably won't leave anytime soon. The employees line up and prepare to close the venue. When it gets very late, Manager Go tells everyone they can leave while he and Uiju finish the remaining work. While alone together, Manager Go pressures Uiju to answer his request for a date. Yeongnam accidentally sees them together and walks away feeling heartbroken. As Uiju tries to reject him politely, Manager Go suddenly becomes aggressive and starts scolding her, pretending it's work-related just to protect his image in front of employees. At the same time, somewhere else in the city, a large truck drives toward the headquarters of a chemical company. The driver exits the truck and activates a strange machine. When a security guard approaches him, massive amounts of poisonous gas suddenly erupt from the vehicle. At first, people think it's harmless smoke. But moments later, pedestrians begin screaming and collapsing as the gas spreads rapidly through the streets. Panic instantly erupts across Seoul. A burning car crashes into a truck carrying gas tanks, causing a massive explosion. The explosion reaches the banquet hall where Yeongnam's family is gathered. Everyone rushes outside in confusion, but Uiju quickly activates the building alarm and starts evacuating the guests. Once outside, people on the street begin suffering horribly after inhaling the toxic gas. Seeing the chaos, everyone immediately runs back into the building. In the middle of the panic, Yeongnam suddenly appears carrying Younghyun on his back. She had fallen outside and inhaled some of the poisonous gas. The family quickly lays her down and gives her first aid. From the windows, Yeongnam and Uiju see the white gas rising higher and higher through the streets. Realizing the danger, Yeongnam urgently tells everyone they need to reach the rooftop. Using some equipment from Uiju, they create a makeshift stretcher to carry Younghyun upstairs. However, when Yeongnam tells everyone to move to the roof, nobody listens to him. Only after emergency broadcasts on television instruct citizens to climb to higher ground do they finally agree. But when they reach the rooftop entrance, they discover the door is locked. Manager Go suddenly remembers that the rooftop key is inside the security office on the first floor, which is already filled with toxic gas. They desperately try forcing the rooftop door open, but it refuses to budge. Manager Go explains that the only other way to unlock it is from outside the building. Meanwhile, television reports reveal that the gas is extremely deadly. Citizens are instructed to wear emergency gas masks recently distributed by the government, though each mask only works effectively for 10 minutes. Hearing this, Manager Go secretly leaves and hides the available gas masks for himself. When Uiju goes looking for them later, they are gone. The news also reveals that helicopter evacuations have started, but there are far too few helicopters for the massive number of victims. Yeongnam's relatives realize someone could retrieve the rooftop key if they had a gas mask. Hearing this, Manager Go reluctantly brings out the hidden masks. But when asked to risk their lives, none of Yeongnam's relatives are willing to go downstairs. While searching another room, Uiju discovers Yeongnam staring at a large trophy. Suddenly, he smashes the trophy against a thick glass window. The glass barely cracks. Using spinning movements, Yeongnam repeatedly hurls the trophy until the window finally shatters. After examining the outside, Yeongnam asks Uiju to find him a rope. The sound of the breaking glass attracts the others. Soon, everyone sees Yeongnam preparing climbing equipment so he can jump to the neighboring building. His father desperately tries to stop him. But as soon as his mother arrives, Yeongnam suddenly sprints forward and leaps across the gap between the buildings. For a terrifying moment, his grip slips. But thanks to his trained body and climbing instincts, he manages to hold on and pull himself upward. He carefully studies the path ahead while Uiju gathers more climbing gear from the office and her locker. She gives Yeongnam her personal safety harness and several pieces of climbing chalk. With barely enough equipment, Yeongnam continues climbing higher. He grabs onto metal bars and swings himself across dangerous gaps. His family watches his terrifying climb through a video call. Yeongnam moves sideways along the building wall using only his arm strength. After resting briefly, he climbs upward using decorative stone carvings. At one point, he grabs a wall lamp, but it immediately breaks beneath him. Forced to retreat, Yeongnam carefully continues moving sideways across tiny footholds. Just as he nears the rooftop, his safety rope gets stuck and blocks his movement. In a moment of madness, Yeongnam removes the rope entirely. Now he's climbing without any protection at all. Reaching the top, he grabs onto the mouth of a giant lion statue. But one of the statue's fangs suddenly snaps off in his hand. Slowly and carefully, Yeongnam climbs over the statue and finally reaches the rooftop. He immediately unlocks the rooftop door from outside. His parents instantly scold him for risking his life like that. Soon, they spot a helicopter and desperately try signaling it. Using phone flashlights, they attempt to send SOS signals into the sky. Meanwhile, television reports reveal that the man responsible for the poisonous gas is one of the founders of the chemical company. Police discover a hidden laboratory and learn his motive was revenge after losing all his patents and being fired. As exhaustion spreads among the survivors, one of Yeongnam's relatives brings over the karaoke speaker they used earlier. Uiju suddenly gets an idea. She rushes downstairs and repeatedly switches the building lights on and off to create a giant flashing signal. This finally catches the attention of a passing helicopter. A rescue worker descends and begins evacuating people one by one. But just as Yeongnam and Uiju are about to board, the rescue cable alarm suddenly goes off. The worker explains that the cable could snap from excess weight. The door closes, and the helicopter leaves without them. Elsewhere, a television station executive secretly contacts someone while monitoring the disaster coverage. Back on the rooftop, Yeongnam apologizes to Uiju because his family's evacuation prevented her from escaping too. When another helicopter approaches, Yeongnam promises Uiju that he'll only apply to respectable companies from now on. Uiju already knows he lied about his job and angrily scolds him for pretending to be successful. Sadly, the helicopter never lands and instead flies away to another emergency. As the gas continues rising, Yeongnam quickly gathers anything useful for survival. Uiju returns wearing athletic shoes, ready to run. Together, they leave the rooftop. Meanwhile, Yeongnam's family safely reaches a hospital, and Younghyun receives proper treatment. At the same time, Yeongnam and Uiju sprint through the city wearing protective suits and gas masks. When they arrive at a station, Yeongnam realizes his gas mask is almost out of usable time. He quickly leads Uiju toward another rooftop. But the toxic gas has already reached it. Since they only have one working mask left, Yeongnam wears it and tells Uiju to wait while he searches for another one. As the gas rises higher, Uiju begins climbing upward alone, believing Yeongnam abandoned her. Furious and hurt, she screams his name. Suddenly, Yeongnam appears behind her carrying a ladder. While being yelled at, he carefully replaces Uiju's mask. Meanwhile, Yeongnam's father tries to hire a taxi outside the hospital, but the driver refuses to help. Then one of Yeongnam's relatives claims to be a former Marine. The taxi driver immediately salutes him because he belongs to a Marine Veterans Association. Elsewhere, Yeongnam and Uiju arrive at a fitness center to rest briefly while planning their next route. Yeongnam then asks Uiju to descend and secure a rope to the neighboring building. Since only one gas mask remains, Uiju warns him there's a chance the doors and rooftops ahead might also be locked. Yeongnam throws several heavy dumbbells across the gap to create balance for a crossing line. Because she weighs less, Uiju crosses first. Halfway across, she nearly falls to her death. But after struggling desperately, she regains balance and safely reaches the opposite side. Now it's Yeongnam's turn. Suddenly, poisonous gas bursts upward through the building's ventilation system. Seeing this, Yeongnam retreats and tells Uiju to run. But Uiju refuses to leave him behind. Yeongnam then hurls an even heavier dumbbell and crosses the gap himself while wearing the protective suit. News broadcasts later reveal that water can neutralize the toxic gas. Firefighters begin spraying massive amounts of water across the city, though the effort is far too slow compared to the speed of the spreading gas. The story then shifts to two men carrying a large box. They turn out to be secretly working for the television station, trying to record the disaster firsthand. At the riverside, Yeongnam's family spots a drone being launched. His father gives away all his remaining money and begs the operators to search for Yeongnam. Meanwhile, Yeongnam and Uiju reach another rooftop where a large party decoration setup makes the area appear crowded. They scream for help. Nearby, they discover a group of teenagers trapped on another rooftop because their door is locked. When a rescue helicopter appears, Yeongnam feels relieved that they're finally saved. But Uiju immediately worries about the trapped teenagers instead. Fighting back tears, they arrange decorative signs into the shape of a giant arrow pointing toward the teenagers. The rescue team notices the signal and saves the trapped kids first. Suddenly, a huge explosion sends another deadly wave of toxic gas through the city. Uiju tells Yeongnam they need to climb a nearby construction crane. While opening a window, they discover another possible route. Even though the path ahead is blocked, they use an iron fence like a bridge to cross safely. At last, the drone hired by Yeongnam's father finally finds them. As the poisonous wave rapidly approaches, Yeongnam tells Uiju to continue moving no matter what happens. When authorities try stopping the illegal drone operation, the operators insist they are trying to save human lives. Soon, Yeongnam and Uiju's struggle is broadcast live across television news. People everywhere begin cheering for them and praying for their survival. The two race across rooftops, leaping from building to building while escaping the rising gas. At one steep rooftop, they hold hands tightly to avoid slipping. While running, Yeongnam gives Uiju his rope and tells her to tie it around herself. After an exhausting climb, they finally pull themselves onto another rooftop. When Uiju struggles, Yeongnam reaches down and helps her up. But once they reach the top, they realize there's nowhere left to go. Then the drone battery finally dies and crashes. Feeling hopeless, Yeongnam and Uiju break down in tears. Suddenly, Uiju notices countless drones flying toward them. The drones belong to ordinary citizens who were moved by their story and decided to help. The spinning drones create airflow that temporarily prevents the poisonous gas from rising further. When another drone arrives, Yeongnam quickly comes up with a plan. Using chalk, he sketches instructions on the rooftop floor. He asks the drone operators to carry a rope and attach it to a distant pipe. Once the rope is secured, Yeongnam and Uiju begin crossing together. But halfway across, the line suddenly stops moving. In the middle of the terrifying situation, Uiju grabs wire cutters from Yeongnam's backpack. As she cuts the rope, the pipe anchoring the line suddenly comes loose. The drone falls from the sky. Everyone watching the live broadcast believes Yeongnam and Uiju have fallen to their deaths. Their families break down in grief. Moments later, a rescue helicopter arrives to investigate the crash site. One of the rescue workers suddenly notices fireworks exploding from the top of a construction crane. Yeongnam and Uiju survived. They are still climbing the crane together. Using the last of their strength, they continue climbing higher while firing fireworks to attract attention. Finally, they reach the top and wait for the rescue helicopter to descend. The next morning, Yeongnam and Uiju arrive safely at an evacuation shelter. The moment Jiho sees his uncle, he runs toward him excitedly. Yeongnam hugs him tightly. Soon, the rest of the family arrives and surrounds Yeongnam with relief and pride. None of them can believe the same man they constantly mocked managed to survive such impossible dangers. Elsewhere, Uiju is calling her family when Manager Go approaches, pretending to care about her. Without hesitation, Uiju slaps him hard across the face and throws away her employee badge. Later, Yeongnam approaches Uiju and returns the climbing gear she lent him. But Uiju smiles and says the equipment is too heavy, telling him he can return it another time. Yeongnam blushes with happiness. At that exact moment, rain finally begins pouring over the city, slowly washing away the poisonous gas.